All right. Hey guys, welcome back to the Underground. So the PlayStation VR2 PC adapter is finally here, and I picked up one of these bad boys recently and have been long anticipating this. And yeah, it adds a really nice brand new expansion to the existing PSVR2 on PS5 experience, which is awesome, by the way. But not only that, it gives it a nice little future-proof safety net, and in addition adds a brand new nice PC VR headset to the PC VR scene. So leading up to this, over the past couple months, I've been working really hard to get caught up on learning everything I can about PC VR and that experience, because it's quite frankly, for a lot of us console gamers, this is a brand new experience. And as you know, PC VR is has a lot more manual processes, is more involved. It's not just as plug and play. But one thing that makes it really easy is when there's guides, there's lots of resources like forums, videos online, things that really helped me along the way and to get caught up quickly. And I'm hoping to do the same and pay it forward and share with you guys everything I've learned in the meantime, so that for anybody jumping in for the first time, getting a new PC, or just exploring PlayStation VR2 on PC for the first time, gets you caught up to speed as those that helped me did. So awesome community effort all around. But yeah, we've got some tips and tricks and all different features and different things you can use. And let's go ahead and dive in. And that begins with optimizing your PC properly. There's a couple different steps here. I'm going to run through them really quickly and show you how to do them on screen. And so the first thing you want to do is go ahead and stop any background processes and remove any unwanted apps that could be running and taking away potential power, because you want everything to be focused on your games. And you can do this by right-clicking the taskbar and going to the task manager, and you can actually get a look at all the processes going on, how much usage they're using. Right here, there's this tab for startup apps, and you can see what opens whenever you boot up your computer for the first time, and you can see what has a big impact, and you can simply right click them and disable them if you want to. Now only do this for apps that you know what they are, and be really careful, because you don't want to accidentally disable something that you actually need or that is important for the computer to run properly. So if you don't know what it is, just leave it alone for now. Maybe Google it, find out what it is first. But stuff that you know that you don't really have to have boot up at launch, go ahead and disable that, and then you can just manually run them when you're ready. If you see a program that you just straight up don't want, you can go to add or remove programs. You can hit the start bar and open it up from the control panel. And you'll have a full list of applications here that you can just manually click on and uninstall if you want. Next, you want to go in and disable something called HAGS, which is Hardware Accelerated GPU Scheduling. This is a random hidden feature that was just hiding out and causing me all sorts of issues. But to get to it, you can right click on the desktop, go to display settings, and down here there's graphics settings you can go to, and then change default graphics. And then here it is right here, hardware accelerated GPU scheduling. Turn this off, and then you probably have to reboot. This thing was causing me all sorts of fits, all sorts of stutter and performance issues, and I highly recommend you turn that off. There is something else called game mode that's on here. Game mode I actually leave on. If you're having issues still, you can experiment with turning this off, but I actually have had a much better experience with keeping this on with my PC, so I keep it on. The next thing you want to do is make sure you have all of your drivers on your computer updated. In particular, the one that gets updated frequently is going to be your graphics driver. I'm using an Nvidia GeForce RTX 4060 Ti, and you want to download the latest drivers and updates, because they oftentimes contain bug fixes, performance enhancements, all new features, things like that. It's super important. And also make sure you download it from the official site only. Do not get these from anywhere else, any third party. They could come bundled with all sorts of nastiness that you don't want on your computer. But if you just go to the manufacturer of your graphics card website, they'll all have drivers and support. And this is for pretty much all of your devices as well, whenever you need it. If ever you're having trouble, always make sure you keep the drivers up to date. But you can just type in your specs and then boom, right here. If you want to see what version you're on, there's usually some kind of software that comes with it, but I like to do everything kind of manually. I don't like to rely on additional software because, again, I like to have all my power focused on the PC. You can go to the start bar and type in DXDIAG, and you can actually take a look at all of your specs here. It's a useful way of finding out your system information. One of the useful ways. There's many different ways, but you can go to display and you can see what the latest version that you have is. Mine's right here, 56081, 56081. So I'm already up to date here. You want to check this frequently, and especially whenever you're having issues. Just make sure you keep these, you check on this from time to time and grab the latest drivers and get them installed to keep your computer up to date and performing at its best always. If you have an Nvidia graphics card, it actually comes, and especially one of the newer ones, it does come with a little control panel here that you can tinker with, and it's got this ability to manage 3D settings. And there's all sorts of global settings which apply just to like basically any game you run. And then you can also go to program settings if there's a specific game you want to alter a bit at all. Most of these I actually just keep off or the default, because I like to control these options from the game and not have any interference, any conflict of anything. And half of the time for VR anyways, a lot of these, I did some thorough testing and a lot of these didn't really make any difference regardless of messing with them anyways. But there are two important ones that I do want to point out. The first one is the power management mode. You do want to go in here, and this by default is set to normal. You want to set this one to prefer maximum performance for the power management mode. And then there's texture filtering is another one that you can mess with. I leave it at the default of quality. That just seems to work best for me. Some people have mentioned going in here and changing this to performance or high performance. You can experiment with this one, try it with it off, try it with it on. Usually you want to have the app closed, change it, and then open the app again to try it. But I just keep that one at the default. And everything else I pretty much just keep as is, because that has resulted in the best experience for me overall. Another one is the power options. Now, there's a lot of back and forth about the power options and how you can have them set. If you go to Control Panel, and you can find the power options right here. And now there's a lot of discussion about whether to keep this on balanced or high performance. From the research I've done, it sounds like high performance usually is set when people are running servers or things that are, you know, like basically servers are workstations that always have to be functioning at a high level at all time. For me, I kind of actually switch it back and forth. What happens when you change this is that it delivers more power to your components. So the thing is you only really want to have this set to high performance or ultimate performance. You only want to have that set there whenever you're actually in a session. So before a session, I do actually set it to ultimate performance. But when I'm done, it's really important that you do this. When you're done, set it back to balanced. because otherwise it's going to just be sending tons of electricity to your components when you really don't need it. You only need to do it once you're gaming to make sure to just get that little bit of smoother experience. But I would highly recommend just keeping this unbalanced until you're ready to play, and then change the power option there. Lastly, the most important thing you can do before a gaming session is to reboot. Even if you just started up the computer, it will still have a bunch of processes, everything running. As if you've been on Google Chrome or Firefox or whatever you use, a lot of stuff could be still running in the background. And what the beauty of rebooting does is it kills all of those processes running and will just give you a fresh, clean start. And then you can just immediately go to the Steam VR app and open up and start gaming. So always reboot before a session. And especially if you've been doing a bunch of other stuff, a bunch of tasks on the computer as is. So that is it for the best optimization that you can do before you're ready to start gaming. If you have any other suggestions, anything that works for you, feel free to leave it down in the comments below and share those. Next, we've got the hardware and setup section that we're going to get to. Now, this has been probably the place where people have been experiencing the most issues. In most cases, the setup is actually pretty easy. All you have to do is run the PlayStation VR2 app and then just follow the directions accordingly, and it should work just fine. But that has not been the case for everybody due to some different hardware issues here that people have run into. Now, in terms of the hardware that you need, in particular, the biggest problem people have run into have been getting the controllers to work properly. And this is due to what seems to be a software-related bug going around, but I've got the best solution for you possible in order to fix that. Now, one of the recommended Bluetooth dongles that they mentioned that Sony actually provided was the TP-Link UB500. I do not recommend that one. While it does connect and technically kind of work, it ends up having a lot of dropout with the right. It loses a lot of connection with one of the controllers, and it causes you headaches. The way I was able to fix this and have not only functional tracking, reliable tracking, but phenomenal. I mean, it is actually almost even better than the PlayStation VR2 on PS5 tracking, which is a shock to say because that's already very good. Was I actually happened to find one of these little antennas laying around, and I just plugged it up and I removed all of my devices that I had previously for that setup. I tried multiple different Bluetooth dongles. A lot of them had issues, but there is one that works, which I'll get to in a second. A lot of them had issues. This has worked flawlessly, and most desktops will have the ability to plug in one of these antennas for the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth. And ever since using this, I've had not only zero issues, but I have had amazing, perfect, smooth tracking. If you have already installed the TP-Link and you want to remove it, the best way to do that is two different ways. You can open up your Bluetooth settings and you can remove them from here. The other way you want to do that is, I had some trouble trying to remove this at one point, is go to your Bluetooth settings here and you can uninstall them. If you're still having some weird issues going on, you can actually go to view and show hidden devices, and it'll show you some additional things, and they may be blanked out. Delete them from there and delete everything, and then add them back. My internal motherboard Bluetooth is this one right here, and this is actually not even a 5.0 Bluetooth. It is a Bluetooth 4.2, But so I don't even think you have to have that. So the software related issue seems to mostly be due to something with the Bluetooth dongles that's going on. I don't even know I know this is old as heck, because I got it from my computer that I built in 2019. And this has worked perfectly so far. I did lots of thorough testing with it, and it has been a smooth experience. Now, if your computer does not have a Bluetooth on its motherboard, this would be the number one way I recommend doing it. If you don't have Bluetooth on your motherboard, the other option you can do is get a Bluetooth dongle. But as I stated before, some of the dongles have had some issues. The best dongle you can get is the ASUS BT500, the 5.0 adapter. Lots of reports have been coming in. I literally just got this in the mail today, like minutes ago. But lots of reports have come in saying that this one works, that this has no connectivity issues, that this is the one that you need to get. So I will test this out, and if there's anything issues I run into, I'll pin a comment down below. Otherwise, this is the one you want. But that's not all you need with it. You also want to get a USB extension cable, like so, a male to female USB extension cable, where you can plug this adapter in and have it away from your PC and closer to you and get better connection. This is actually a 3.0 cable, and there's some people that recommend using a 2.0 port. And yeah, even though I have a 3.0 cable, it's backwards compatible, and I just use it with the 2.0 port. And I had a much better time with that than I did just one of the Amazon Basics 2.0. So those are the two different ways I would recommend you connect with the controllers for the best tracking experience possible. Either get an antenna for your onboarding, your motherboard Bluetooth adapter, or have one of these extension cables and the ASUS 5.0 BT500, and that will resolve your issues. Another issue that you can run into is sometimes you'll try to boot up the headset and it'll get a failed to initialize error. What I discovered from this is that this typically happens from when I had the headset on and it was left on, and then I would reboot with the headset still on, and then when I tried to fire up Steam, it would run into this error, and I was like, what is going on? So it's always important to, before you restart your computer or before you shut down, make sure your headset is actually turned off first, and then reboot. If that happens, if you run into that error, the best thing you can do is shut down the headset, unplug the little breakout box for the adapter, unplug everything from it, plug it back in, and then reboot again. And then it should be able to clear it with a little bit of that. But yeah, other than that, the setup has been pretty easy. You just follow the directions, set your room scale, room tracking, everything, all that, and then you should be good to go. It's actually, aside from the hardware compatibility issues, hopefully Sony gets, hopefully they get that software. I think it's a software issue. Hopefully they get that fixed. And until then, these are the best working methods at this time. Now let's get into some of the, once you get into the headset, let's get into some of the Steam VR settings that you can tinker with. There's two different ways you can do this. There's actually, once you fire up Steam and log in Steam VR and get into it with the PSVR2, you'll either have the menu. You can do this from either in the headset, or you can do it from actually the Steam VR menu that pops up here on your computer desktop, and you can basically have access to the same settings. You can do it either way. The first thing that I would recommend doing is you going to the settings and general and turn off Steam VR Home. Now, some people might like this. If you want to keep it on, fine. But I've typically I typically don't like to have additional things running constantly. I want all my power focused on the game. Next, these are all in the general settings right now. You'll have, if you have an Nvidia card, you'll have 90 Hertz or 120 Hertz, depending on how powerful your PC is. You can set it to either one of these. So for me and my mid-tier PC, I have to set it to 90 Hertz. You also want to turn off motion smoothing because this is supposed to be, I don't really know what it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be some form of like reprojection or something, but it's terrible. All it does is make the screen look all warpy and everything, and it looks really bad. So turn off motion smoothing if you're encountering that issue of just seeing like it warping everywhere. This right here, this first setting you see here is your global resolution. It's either found in general or it's also found here in the video settings. Either way works, but I actually set this to 68% because that's the closest to native PSVR resolution that there is. Some people like to do 62 or 64 to give themselves a little bit more headroom so that they can focus more on performance. But lowering or raising this bar will affect the performance of the game. So the more you try to crank it up, the more you're going to tank your performance pretty bad. And like I said, it kind of depends on the PC, but just know that even though it gives you the option to go to 500%, that doesn't mean most computers are able to do that. Now, this is what I like to do though. I like to keep the global settings here for the resolution at 68% just to have the baseline for it. For each individual game or application, however, you can go to per application video settings and you can open up and you can customize each resolution as well as a couple other settings. Additionally, there's actually also a legacy reprojection mode and a throttling behavior. And the reason people don't like reprojection sometimes is because it can cause visual artifacts. The most common one is ghosting. Just wanted to point out that there's these two options down here if you want to experiment with those. I typically just keep them off. If you have an audio device, if you don't have any of the PSVR2 earbuds, you can turn on this audio mirroring to send the audio to an additional device here, and that will help you with that if you don't have something that plugs in directly. Now, let's get into the part where if you want to monitor your performance, the best way to tell how your PC is handling the games you're playing with the settings that you have on. For starters, I think the best entry-level way to do this is using an app called FPSVR. This thing really was awesome. It basically took me from spending hours of tinkering down to literally minutes because it measures in real time how your PC is performing, and it lets you see it in VR. I've actually got some footage here of what this looks like, and you'll see things like the in-game frames per second, and whenever that turns red, that means that reprojection has kicked in. If it's in the white, that means that it is a nice, smooth, buttery, native frame rate. You'll see your GPU and CPU, and you'll basically want to keep these in the green. If sometimes they can go into the yellow a little bit. If they don't, if they're hitting yellow, especially the GPU, if the GPU is hitting yellow and you're not seeing many issues, then you can get away with it. But if you start to hit the red, then for either one of these, then you'll likely start noticing some frame drops, some stutters, things like that. So you want to adjust the settings down and and just get them as close as you can. Try to keep it in the green if you can. You might see some spikes here and there or whatever. It'll just help you identify where the issue is if you're experiencing some stutter. So last but certainly not least, one of the most surprising and exciting things has been how compatible PSVR2 is with some existing software and mods that are out there already. There's a couple different applications you can use to expand what you're able to play using a PSVR2 headset beyond just Steam VR. The first one is called Revive VR, and this, you can just Google Revive VR and it'll take you to the GitHub page. And for a lot of these mods and applications, you'll be seeing a lot of GitHub website links. And to find the latest versions, you can always see it right down here to see the newest releases. You can download them there, and then they'll usually have some installation instructions down below here as well that you can use. Just follow them step by step, and it's really easy. Revive, I got to test just one game and it does work, and I tested out Lone Echo, which I purchased from the MetaQuest store. You will have to also download the MetaQuest Link app from the official MetaQuest website. But these are some really big AAA exclusive VR games that a lot of you PSVR2 and PSVR1 owners are going to want to check out. I only checked out a little bit of Lone Echo just to test it and make sure it works, and it was absolutely stunning. So I'm really excited to check out this as well as some others. Next, we have probably the reason I bought a PCVR in the first place is Unreal Engine VR Injector mod. This is, of course, the universal engine injector for anything that is Unreal Engine 4 or Unreal Engine 5. There's not only games, tons of games that exist already. Some of my favorite you've seen me playing, like Returnal, Sackboy's Big Adventure, Spyro the Dragon, Crash Bandicoot 4. There's not only a lot of existing ones already, but there are some upcoming big hitters as well that I cannot wait to experiment and try to work with. Things like Metal Gear Solid Delta or Silent Hill 2 and so many more. So this is another mod that I highly recommend. You come here and you get the latest version, which is at this time 1.04. And then they also have a really awesome Discord as well as website that I would highly recommend joining to get some help, to see some existing profiles and installation instructions. There's a couple additional accessories that you may have, such as a racing wheel or a flight stick. When it comes to PC, just know that it's pretty easy to set up and install, but you do have to download the drivers from the official website first. Always make sure you download from the official websites. And if you just Google the name of the accessory that you have, and just type in drivers, it'll usually take you immediately to the support page where you can get all the latest firmware updates and software for calibrating and setting up. Once you get those installed, you're pretty much golden. Here we've got the T150 Pro, which is what I have for the racing wheel. That was amazing with Dirt Rally 2.0, one of the best racing games I've played so far. And then also for Star Wars Squadrons, I have a T-Flight HOTAS 4, which I also came here and installed this and used it with that. And it was also a bunch of fun. So that's it for now, guys. We're going to leave it there. And hopefully this was a useful jumping off point for you and getting started with your PSVR2 on PC experience. If you have any other things you want to add to the discussion, just leave them down below. I'll respond to as many as I can. But it has been an awesome experience so far. It really, having the OLED, the wider field of view, the no compression has been much better than I expected. And so everything in addition to that, being able to be compatible with some of these additional libraries and accessories has also been really awesome. So I am having an absolute blast so far with my first impressions, and can't wait to share some more. I'll have some more features as soon as possible. So if you haven't, subscribe and just stick around and enjoy some live streams and some more content I got coming for you as soon as possible. But again, happy PSVR2 on PC launch day, and I look forward to sharing more. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you on the next video.